Welcome to this peaceful journey into deep, restorative sleep. Allow my voice to be your gentle companion as we walk together through the fog-shrouded streets of Victorian London, a time when gaslight created pools of amber warmth in the evening. Mist, when cobblestones glistened with dampness beneath passing carriages. When the pace of life moved to a rhythm both elegant and unhurried. Take a moment now to settle into your chosen sleeping position. Perhaps adjust your pillow one final time. Ensure your blankets are arranged just as you prefer them. Make any last small movements that will allow your body to remain comfortable and undisturbed for the duration of our journey together. There will be no need to move again until morning's light gently calls you back. Begin to notice your breathing, not to change it in any way, but simply to observe its natural rhythm. Feel the gentle rise and fall of your chest, the subtle movement of your abdomen, the cool air entering through your nostrils, and the slightly warmer air as you exhale. With each breath, you're already beginning to relax more deeply, as you continue to breathe naturally and effortlessly. Imagine that the air filling your lungs carries with it the essence of a different time, slightly cooler, faintly scented, with coal fires burning in distant hearths, with the subtle fragrance of polished wood and beeswax candles that characterize the interiors of Victorian homes. This imagined air brings not only oxygen to your system, but a quality of tranquil nostalgia, gentle stepping back from the pace and concerns of modern life. Tonight, we'll explore the peaceful streets of London as they might have appeared in the late 19th century, not the London of history books with their focus on dates and events, but a more dreamlike version where gaslight creates halos in the mist, where time seems to pool rather than flow, where each cobblestone and brick building exists in perfect, timeless tranquility. As we prepare for this gentle journey, take 3 slightly deeper breaths with me now. With the first breath in, invite relaxation to enter your body, and with the exhale, release any tension or discomfort. With the second breath in, feel a wave of heaviness moving through your limbs. And with the exhale, let your body sink more deeply into the surface supporting you. With the third breath in, imagine drawing in perfect tranquility. And with the exhale, let your mind begin to slow and quiet like the waters of the Thames. Settling into stillness as evening descends, our journey begins at twilight, that perfect hour when day has not quite yielded to night, when the lamplighters have just begun their rounds, when windows glow with the warm light of homes preparing for evening's embrace. You are a peaceful observer in this scene, not required to interact or respond, only to witness and receive the gentle impressions of a world designed to guide you toward perfect rest. If at any point during our journey you find yourself drifting into sleep, that is absolutely perfect, exactly as it should be. There is no need to follow every word or visualization. Your subconscious mind will continue to receive the benefits of this experience even as you slip into deeper states of rest. And should your mind occasionally wander to thoughts of your day or concerns about tomorrow, simply notice this happening without judgment. Then gently return your attention to my voice and to the foggy streets of Victorian London that we're exploring together. Like a handsome cab returning to its intended route after a momentary detour, your awareness can always find its way back to our shared journey. Now, as the last rays of daylight fade from the western sky and the first stars appear like distant diamonds above the city's rooftops, let us begin our walk through the gentle mist that embraces London's streets. A journey designed to carry you effortlessly toward the deepest, most restorative sleep. Our journey begins on a quiet street lined with elegant townhouses, their facades of Portland stone softened by the gathering fog. The air has that particular quality found only in London evenings, not quite rain, not quite cloud, but a tangible presence that muffles sound and transforms ordinary scenes into dreamlike tableau. Distant church bells mark the hour with muted resonance, their sound seeming to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. As you take your first steps along the damp cobblestones, notice how the fog creates a natural boundary around our experience, a soft, protective veil that separates this peaceful journey from any concerns or responsibilities that might lie beyond it. Just as Victorian Londoners found their world transformed by evening mist, allow your consciousness to be gently altered, softened, prepared for the profound relaxation that leads to sleep. The lamplighter has just passed through this street, touching his long pole to each gas lamp in turn. Now they stand like sentinels of amber warmth, their light diffusing through the fog to create halos of gold that overlap and merge along the thoroughfare. These pools of illumination will guide our way, each one a gentle invitation to move deeper into relaxation as we pass through its glow dot as we continue along the cobblestones. Bring your awareness to your breathing once more. Notice how it may have already slowed slightly, how each inhale and exhale might feel a bit deeper, a bit more satisfying than when we began. Allow this natural rhythm to continue without interference, trusting that your body knows exactly how to breathe for perfect relaxation. Ahead, a handsome cab passes at an unhurried pace, the sound of horses' hooves on stone creating a gentle percussion that seems to match the rhythm of your heartbeat. The cab's lamps cast moving patterns of light that dance briefly across the facades of buildings before disappearing around a corner. These shifting patterns mirror the transient nature of thoughts as you approach sleep, appearing, creating momentary impressions, then fading without requiring attention or response. Let's use this moment to bring awareness to your physical body, beginning with your feet. Whether covered by blankets or exposed to the air, notice any sensations present there, any tension, any holding. With your next exhale, allow your feet to release completely, toes uncurling, arches softening, ankles relaxing. Imagine that. The cobblestones beneath our visualized steps are somehow transferring their solid, grounded quality to your actual feet, inviting them to feel heavy and perfectly at rest. The same heaviness can flow upward through your legs, calves softening, knees releasing their slight holding, thighs becoming heavy against the surface supporting them. Like a Victorian traveler gratefully settling into a comfortable chair after a day's activities, your legs can now release completely into supported rest. Our path takes us past the warm windows of a bookshop where golden light spills onto the pavement. Through the fogged glass, indistinct figures move among shelves lined with leather-bound volumes, their rich colors muted to gentle impressions rather than sharp details. The scene suggests knowledge without the effort of acquisition, stories without the need to follow plots. A perfect metaphor for the way thoughts can be present, without requiring engagement as you approach sleep. As we pause briefly by this window, bring your awareness to your hips and lower back. These areas often hold tension from sitting, standing, or moving throughout your day. With your next few breaths, allow this central area of your body to release completely into the surface supporting you. Feel any tightness melting away, any discomfort dissolving. As your lower back finds its neutral, supported position, moving away from the bookshop, our path continues down a slight incline where the fog seems to thicken, softening the outlines of buildings and transforming ordinary street furniture post boxes. Railings, carriage steps, into mysterious shapes that emerge and recede as we pass. This gentle obscuring of detail parallels what may be happening in your mind as thoughts become less distinct, less insistent, more dreamlike in their quality. Bring your awareness now to your breathing once more, perhaps already deeper and slower than when we began. Allow each inhale to fill your lungs completely without effort. Each exhale to empty them without rushing. This natural rhythm connects you to the most fundamental cycle of life, receiving and releasing, expanding and contracting, awakening and resting. Let this same quality of relaxed breathing extend to your chest and shoulders. With each exhale, feel your shoulders dropping slightly lower, moving away from your ears, releasing their protective holding. Your chest can soften, creating more space for your breath, more room for your heart to beat at its perfect resting rhythm. Our path now brings us to a crossing, where several streets converge around a small circular garden enclosed by wrought iron railings. At its center stands a stone fountain, silent now for the evening, its basin collecting droplets of mist that will eventually return to the earth. This circular arrangement creates a moment of pause in our journey, a natural place to gather our awareness before continuing. In this moment of stillness, bring your attention to your arms and hands. Throughout your day, these have likely been your most active body parts, typing, writing, carrying, creating, communicating. Now they deserve complete rest. Feel your upper arms becoming heavy at your sides, your elbows softening. Your forearms releasing any tension, your wrists uncurling from their habitual positions, your hands opening slightly, fingers relaxed and slightly curled in their natural resting position. From this crossing, we choose the quietest street, a narrow passage where the buildings stand closer together, creating a more intimate feeling, a greater sense of containment and safety. The fog here seems to embrace rather than obscure its moisture, creating a slight sheen on stone walls and wooden doors, transforming ordinary surfaces into something more organic, more alive, yet perfectly still. As we walk this narrower street, notice how the sounds of the broader city have faded to a distant murmur, perhaps a faint clattering of dishes from an unseen kitchen, the muffled closing of a door somewhere behind thick walls, the soft clearing of a throat as someone pauses in a doorway to look up at the misty sky. These gentle audio impressions require no response from you, no interpretation or analysis. They simply create a sonic backdrop for your continuing journey into deeper relaxation. The gaslights here are spaced further apart, creating more pronounced pools of amber illumination with deeper shadows between them. As we pass through each circle of light, imagine that another layer of wakefulness dissolves, another level of tension releases, another degree of conscious control surrenders to the natural progression towards sleep. Our path through the narrow street opens unexpectedly onto a small square, one of those perfectly proportioned spaces that Victorian urban planners occasionally created amidst London's otherwise organic growth. The buildings surrounding this square house small businesses on their ground floors, each window offering a different vignette of 19th century commercial life, each contributing to the peaceful ambiance of evening in the city. Most prominent among these establishments is a watchmaker's shop, its bay window displaying dozens of timepieces arranged on velvet cushions of deep blue and burgundy. Pocket watches of polished silver and gold catch and transform the gaslight, their chains, draped in gentle curves that suggest the flow of time itself. Larger clocks stand at the back of the display, their pendulums swinging in hypnotic, perfectly synchronized motion back and forth back and forth marking seconds with mechanical precision while paradoxically creating a sense of timelessness dot as we pause before this window. Allow your awareness to synchronize with these pendulums, their steady, reliable rhythm mirroring the beating of your heart, the flow of your breath, the natural cycles that continue within you without conscious direction or control. In this moment of alignment, time itself seems to expand and soften, minutes stretching like the fog that embraces the square. This gentle alteration of temporal perception is characteristic of the approach to sleep moments expanding, intervals blurring, the sharp delineation between one instant and the next dissolving into a more fluid experience. Allow this pleasant shifting of time sense to develop naturally as you continue to release into deeper relaxation. Let's use this moment before the watchmaker's window to bring awareness to your face and head, areas that often hold tension without our realizing it. Begin with your jaw, allowing it to release completely, creating a small space between your upper and lower teeth. Feel your tongue resting comfortably in your mouth, requiring no position or pressure. Let your cheeks soften, the small muscles around your eyes release, your forehead becomes smooth as still water. The skin of your scalp can relax too, perhaps creating a subtle tingling sensation as tiny muscles release their hold. Behind your closed eyelids, allow your eyes themselves to rest completely, not looking, not searching, simply being. This profound facial relaxation signals to your entire nervous system that vigilance is no longer required, that it's safe to transition towards sleep's embrace, moving away from the watchmaker's window. We continue across the small square where a circular arrangement of benches surrounds a modest tree, perhaps a London plane, its mottled bark revealing patches of cream and olive beneath the weathered outer layer. Though it's not the season for it, you might imagine this tree in spring, its fresh leaves creating a canopy of whispered movement overhead, or in autumn, when those same leaves turn to gold and amber before drifting to the cobblestones below. This capacity to hold multiple time frames simultaneously, to see what is, what was, and what will be is another quality of mind that emerges as you approach sleep. The rigid boundaries between memory, perception, and imagination begin to soften, allowing these aspects of consciousness to blend and interact more freely. As we cross the square, notice how the fog seems to be thickening slightly, its moisture collecting in tiny droplets on your imagined clothing, on the tree's branches, on the wrought iron backs of the benches we pass. This increasing density creates an even stronger sense of containment and privacy, a world reduced to what is immediately present. A natural limiting of sensory input that parallels your body's preparation for sleep. Let's deepen your relaxation further with a gentle countdown, each number guiding you toward a more profound state of rest. With each number, allow another layer of wakefulness to dissolve, another level of tension to release. 10. Feel your eyelids becoming heavier as if they're being touched by evening mist, cool, gentle, slightly moist, inviting them to remain closed until morning light. 9. Your breathing continues its natural rhythm, each cycle slightly deeper, slightly slower than the one before. 8. The weight of your body against the supporting surface increases slightly, a pleasant heaviness spreading from your center outward. 7. The space behind your closed eyes softens and expands, creating a sense of peaceful spaciousness in your mind. 6. Sounds, whether from your actual environment or within our visualization, become less distinct. more blended, creating a gentle acoustic backdrop rather than specific inputs requiring attention. 5. Your heartbeat finds its perfect resting. Rhythm steady, quiet, efficiently delivering nourishment throughout your system without effort or strain. 4. The boundary between your body and the space around it begins to feel less distinct, as if your physical form is melting slightly into its surroundings. 3. Your thoughts become less verbal, more imagistic, floating through your awareness, like fog around a gaslight requiring no engagement or response. 2. Time begins to expand and contract in unusual ways, moments stretching, intervals blurring, the linear progression becoming more fluid and dreamlike. 1. Your entire being settles into a state of receptive stillness, perfectly poised on the threshold between conscious relaxation and sleep itself, leaving the square. Our path leads to a slightly wider street where the character of buildings changes, subtly less commercial now, more residential, with bay windows projecting outward and steps leading up to doors painted in subdued shades of blue, green, and burgundy. The fog plays interesting games with perspective here, making some doorways appear closer than they are, while others recede into the mist, their details obscured, but their presence somehow comforting. Through an occasional uncurtained window, glimpses of Victorian domestic life appear: a table set for evening tea, bookshelves lined with cloth-bound volumes, the gentle glow of an oil lamp illuminating a desk where someone has left a half-written letter. These are not scenes to analyze or interpret, simply impressions that create a sense of human continuity, of life proceeding at its own perfect pace regardless of whether you observe it or not. This quality of detached, benevolent observation mirrors the relationship you might now have with your own thoughts, present but not demanding, acknowledged but not engaged with, part of experience but not its defining feature. As sleep approaches, this capacity to witness without attachment naturally develops, allowing mental activity to continue without disturbing the body's journey toward rest. The street begins a gentle curve to the right, following what might once have been the course of a small stream, now buried beneath layers of urban development, but still influencing the shape of the world above. This subtle reminder of nature's persistence beneath the human-built environment creates a pleasing sense of depth, not just the visible city, but the hidden landscapes that support and inform it. Your consciousness has this same layered quality. The thoughts and perceptions available to immediate awareness, supported by deeper currents of feeling, instinct, memory, and dream. As you continue to release into relaxation, these deeper layers become more accessible, more influential, preparing the way for sleep's unique mode of consciousness. The curving street we've been following now opens onto one of London's many small parks, a rectangular space enclosed by wrought iron railings, containing gravel paths that wind between carefully tended lawns and ornamental plantings. In daylight, this would be a place of precise horticultural order, but in the foggy evening it takes on a more organic, dreamlike quality, boundaries softened, colors muted, distances uncertain. Entering through an arched gateway, we step onto a path that crunches softly beneath our imagined feet. This subtle sound, gravel shifting and settling, creates a gentle audio texture that paradoxically enhances rather than disturbs the evening's tranquility, like the ticking of a distant clock or the purring of a contented cat. Some sounds signal safety rather than threat, continuity rather than disruption. Within the park, gas lights are mounted on decorative iron posts painted dark green, almost black in the evening light. Their spacing creates a rhythm of illumination and shadow as we walk the curving path. each pool of amber light revealing different features of the landscape. A stone bench positioned to view a small fountain, a circular bed of roses now closed. For the night, an ornamental tree whose lower branches create a canopy over the pathway. As we move through this gentle alternation of light and shadow, bring your awareness once more to your physical body, conducting a final inventory of any remaining tension. Beginning with your feet and moving upward, scan slowly through each area, inviting any last holding or tightness to dissolve completely. Notice your feet, donkles, calves and shins, knees, tips and pelvis, lower back, abdomen, middle and upper back, chest, shoulders, upper arms, elbows, forearms, wrists, hands and fingers, throat, jaw, scalp. With each area you scan, allow another increment of release, another degree of surrender to the supporting surface and to the natural progression towards sleep. At the park's center stands a small ornamental pond, its surface perfectly still in the windless evening, reflecting the gaslights as elongated pillars of gold that seem to extend into infinite depth. Around this pond, several benches offer invitation to pause and absorb. The scene more fully. Let us accept this invitation, imagining ourselves seated on one of these benches, our visual perspective now stationary, focused on the interplay of light, water, mist, and darkness. In this moment of stillness, notice how your breathing has continued to deepen and slow throughout our journey. Each inhale now feels like receiving a gift, the cool, moisture-laden air of London evening, filling your lungs without effort. Each exhale feels like releasing a weight, carbon dioxide and tension, flowing out of your body in a natural cycle of purification and renewal. The fog around the pond seems to behave in unusual ways, forming shapes that might momentarily suggest human figures or familiar objects before dissolving back into formlessness. This gentle pareidolia, the tendency to perceive meaningful patterns in ambiguous stimuli, mirrors what often happens in consciousness as sleep approaches. Images form and dissolve, meanings suggest themselves and then transform. The boundary between perception and imagination becomes increasingly porous. From somewhere beyond the park's boundaries comes the muted sound of a street musician, perhaps, a violin played with more feeling than technical precision, its melody both melancholy and soothing. The notes seem to hang in the moisture-laden air, each one distinct yet connected to those before and after, creating a musical narrative that requires no resolution or analysis, only reception. As this music reaches us, allow your internal narrative, the ongoing commentary that often accompanies conscious experience, to quiet even further. Words can transform into feelings, thoughts into impressions, directed attention into receptive awareness. This shifting cognitive mode is not something you need to accomplish through effort. Rather, it emerges naturally as you continue to release into deeper relaxation. The park around us has taken on an increasingly dreamlike quality, time seeming to slow, space becoming more fluid, sensory impressions blending into one another without clear boundaries. A bird calls once from an unseen tree, the sound lingering in the fog-dampened air. A drop of water falls from an overhanging branch, creating expanding circles on the pond's surface that interact with the reflected gaslights in complex patterns of light and movement. These naturally occurring phenomena require no interpretation or response. They simply exist as perfect moments of sensory experience, complete in themselves. In the same way, any thoughts or feelings that might arise in your awareness now can exist without requiring engagement. They appear, create momentary impressions, and dissolve back into the expansive field of consciousness from which they emerged. From our bench beside the pond, we can observe the occasional passing of other park visitors, indistinct figures moving along distant paths, their footsteps muffled by fog and gravel, their presence registered and then forgotten as they disappear into the mist. These fleeting appearances mirror the increasingly transient nature of your thoughts as sleep approaches coming into awareness, briefly before releasing back into the gentle void of pre-sleep consciousness. The quality of light is changing subtly. As evening deepens toward night, the gaslights seem to intensify slightly against the darkening backdrop, their amber glow becoming more pronounced, more contained, creating stronger contrasts between illumination and shadow. This changing light creates a natural invitation to release even further into relaxation, the biological wisdom of the body responding to darkness with the neurochemistry of sleep. As we prepare to leave the park and continue our journey, take a moment to appreciate the profound state of relaxation you've achieved. Your body rests in perfect stillness, perfectly supported, perfectly comfortable, a vessel prepared for the deep restoration that sleep will bring. Your breath moves in, its natural sleep preparation rhythm slightly deeper, slightly slower than waking breath, with perhaps a subtle pause at the end of each exhale. Your mind has begun the transition from directed thinking to receptive awareness, the perfect cognitive mode for the approach to sleep. Rising from our bench, we move toward a different park gate than the one through which we entered and exit. That will lead us into another part of Victorian London, another phase of our journey toward perfect rest. The path crunches softly beneath our feet once more, the sound now more muted, more distant, as if heard through layers of emerging sleep rather than through ordinary wakefulness, leaving the park through a smaller, less ornate gate than the one where we entered. We find ourselves in a residential area of greater intimacy and quietude than we've yet encountered. The streets here are narrower, the houses more modest, though still possessed of Victorian dignity with their symmetrical facades and carefully proportioned windows. The fog seems to have settled more densely in these narrow passageways, reducing visibility to just a few houses in either direction and transforming the gaslights into diffuse glows rather than distinct flames. This natural limiting of visual field creates a perfect metaphor for what may be happening in your consciousness. The wide-ranging awareness of full wakefulness giving way to a more contained, more immediate experience as sleep approaches. The world reduces itself to what is present, what is close, what requires no reaching or striving to apprehend. Our footsteps on these cobblestones sound different from before, more muffled, more distant, as if heard through layers of cotton wool. This acoustic softening reflects the changing relationship between consciousness and sensory input that characterizes the approach to sleep. Sounds continue to be registered, but with decreasing impact, decreasing significance, decreasing power to disturb the mind's natural movement toward restoration. As we walk these quiet streets, the facades of houses present a rhythm of doors and windows, each front step swept clean, each brass knocker and letterbox polished to a soft gleam that catches the gaslight. These repeated elements create a visual pattern that requires no analysis, a gentle architectural monotony that soothes rather than stimulates the observing mind. Let's use this monotony as an opportunity to deepen your relaxation even further. Imagine that with each doorway we pass, your body becomes heavier, more settled into the surface supporting it. With each window, your breathing slows slightly more. With each gaslight, your mind releases another layer of thought, another degree of conscious control, another level of wakefulness. From behind one of these uniform facades comes the faint sound of a piano, someone practicing scales with more diligence than passion, the notes ascending and descending in perfect predictability, rather than demanding attention. This simple musical exercise creates another element of soothing repetition, another invitation to surrender to patterns that require no response or engagement. The fog continues to thicken around us, its moisture collecting on our imagined clothing, dampening any sounds, softening any visual edges. This increasing density creates a sense of gentle isolation, not the isolation of loneliness, but of perfect containment, of being held in a protective cocoon of sensory softening that prepares the way for sleep's embrace. In this cocoon of fog and quietude, notice how your thoughts may have changed their quality throughout our journey. What began as clear, directed narratives may now be more like impressions or images floating through awareness without verbal formulation, appearing and dissolving without logical connection. This changing thought pattern is another sign of your approach to sleep, another natural transition that requires no effort or direction from you. Our path takes a gentle turn, and we find ourselves on a street where small shops occupy the ground. Floors of otherwise residential buildings, a bookbinder, a milliner, a shop selling tea and spices. Their windows are dimly lit, showing not the full displays of business hours, but the subdued illumination of proprietors completing end-of-day tasks, a ledger being updated, items being arranged for tomorrow's customers, surfaces being wiped. Clean with careful attention. These glimpses of quiet, purposeful activity create a sense of the day completing itself properly, of things being put in order before rest is taken. This natural closure mirrors what may be happening in your own consciousness as thoughts about the day just past find their proper places, as mental items are filed away, as the administrative functions of the mind complete their work in preparation. For sleep's deeper processes, the street begins a subtle descent now, following the natural contours of London's underlying geography. This downward slope requires even less effort to traverse than our earlier pathways, gravity itself assisting our progress, just as natural sleep processes are now assisting your transition from wakefulness to slumber. There is less to do, more to allow. Less to accomplish, more to receive. From somewhere ahead comes the sound of flowing water, perhaps a small decorative fountain or a channel, where an ancient stream has been incorporated into the city's design rather than buried beneath it. This liquid sound, constant yet ever-changing, creates another layer of sensory soothing, the auditory equivalent of the visual monotony we've been experiencing. Another invitation to release into deeper relaxation. As we continue downward toward this water sound, notice how your body may be experiencing subtle temperature changes as you approach sleep. Perhaps there's a pleasant warmth in your core while your extremities feel slightly cooler. Perhaps there's a general sense of your temperature regulation shifting, adjusting, finding its optimal condition for sleep maintenance. These thermal adjustments are completely natural, requiring no intervention or concern from you. The source of the water sound reveals itself as a small stone channel running alongside the street, where water flows from some unseen source toward an equally unseen destination. Wrought iron railings protect pedestrians from accidentally stepping into this watercourse, their elaborate Victorian designs now reduced to silhouettes against the misty darkness. Pausing beside this flowing water, Bring your awareness once more to your breathing, perhaps now so slow, so deep, so automatic that it's barely perceptible to your conscious mind. Each inhale arrives in its own perfect timing. Each exhale departs with its own perfect duration. Between them, brief pauses might have developed moments of perfect respiratory stillness that mirror the profound physical quietude you've attained. The flow of water beside us and the flow of breath within you create a harmony of natural rhythms, unhurried, undirected, perfectly aligned with the fundamental patterns that govern all life. This alignment creates a profound sense of rightness, of being perfectly attuned to forces larger and wiser than conscious thought or intention. As we prepare to leave this quiet street with its flowing water and mist-shrouded shops, take a moment to notice how different your consciousness feels compared to when we began our journey. There's likely a quality of expanded present moment, past and future having receded in significance, the now having become more spacious, more complete, more sufficient unto itself. This temporal shifting is characteristic of the hypnagogic state, the borderland between wakefulness and sleep, where consciousness transforms into its sleeping mode. Our path now leads toward what appears to be a small, arched bridge, perhaps crossing the water channel, perhaps spanning some other unseen division in the urban landscape. This transition point in our journey marks another threshold in your progression towards sleep, a crossing from one state of consciousness to another, a passage from the actively relaxing mind to the passively receiving mind that characterizes sleep onset. Crossing the small arched bridge, its stone worn smooth by generations of footsteps, we enter what feels like an older part of London, a place where streets follow ancient pathways rather than planned grids, where buildings lean slightly toward each other across narrow passages, where the very air seems to hold centuries of human presence in its moisture-laden embrace. The fog here has a different quality, thinner in some places, allowing glimpses of star-scattered sky between chimney pots, then pooling more densely at street level, creating the impression of walking through clouds that have descended to earth. This interplay of clarity and obscurity mirrors the changing quality of consciousness as sleep draws nearer moments of surprising lucidity, alternating with periods of gentle confusion, neither state requiring correction or control. Our path takes us past buildings whose purposes are not immediately apparent, neither clearly commercial nor plainly residential. Perhaps workshop or studio spaces where Victorian craftspeople combine their living and working lives. From one such building comes the faint, rhythmic sound of a printing press, the mechanical heartbeat of 19th century communication, still pulsing gently in this quiet corner of the city, even as most activities have ceased for the night. This steady, predictable sound creates another layer of hypnotic rhythm, joining your heartbeat, your breathing, the flow of water we passed earlier, the cadence of our imagined footsteps on cobblestones. These overlapping patterns create a natural polyrhythm that speaks to the deepest parts of your brain, signaling safety, continuity, and the perfect conditions for surrender to sleep. As we continue through these ancient streets, notice how your awareness of your physical body may have changed throughout our journey. What began as distinct sensations in specific locations, tension here, relaxation there, may now have transformed into a more generalized experience of heaviness, warmth, and boundary dissolution. This changing body perception is another signpost. On your journey towards sleep, the transition from localized awareness to systemic experience. Ahead, a small clearing opens in the dense urban fabric. Not a formal square or park, but a modest widening of the street around what appears to be a public water pump. This utilitarian feature has been given aesthetic consideration nonetheless, its ironwork decorated with acanthus leaves and mythological figures. Its base surrounded by cobblestones arranged in a spiral pattern that draws the eye inward. This spiral motif movement that circles around a center rather than progressing linearly offers another metaphor for the approach to sleep. Unlike the waking mind's preference for direct paths and clear destinations, sleep consciousness embraces cycles, returns. The gentle circling that eventually arrives at centrality through indirect means. Beyond this small clearing, a particularly narrow passage leads between buildings of uneven height. At its entrance stands a figure we recognize from earlier in our journey, a lamplighter, his long pole resting against one shoulder, his posture suggesting both the weariness of a day's work completed and the satisfaction of necessary tasks. Accomplished. As we approach, he acknowledges our presence with a slight nod, neither intrusive nor dismissive, simply recognizing fellow travelers in the misty evening. Without words, he gestures toward the narrow passage, indicating that it leads somewhere we might wish to go, somewhere that offers shelter and rest at journey's end. Following his unspoken suggestion, we enter the passage where the closeness of buildings on either side creates a tunnel-like effect, the fog flowing through this narrow space like water through a channel. Our footsteps echo slightly against the close walls, creating a gentle acoustic accompaniment to our progress, not harsh or startling but rhythmic, soothing, a percussion that measures our transition from one space to another. The passage eventually opens onto a tiny courtyard enclosed on three sides by buildings and on the fourth by a high brick wall covered in ivy. The space has the feeling of a room without a ceiling, intimate, contained, yet open to the night sky above where breaks. In the fog reveal occasional stars. A single gaslight illuminates this courtyard, its flame protected by glass panels that have taken on a slight iridescence from years of exposure to London's particular atmosphere. In the corner furthest from our entry point stands a small cottage, more modest than the surrounding buildings, perhaps originally a gatekeeper's lodge or a gardener's dwelling from a time when this courtyard was part of a larger estate. Its windows glow with warm light that suggests habitation, safety, the completion of a journey, rather than merely another stage in ongoing progression. This is the lamplighter's cottage, the home to which he returns after his evening rounds are complete, his public duty fulfilled. Its very modesty creates a sense of invitation, of achievable comfort rather than unattainable luxury. The message it conveys is clear. Rest is not distant or difficult, but immediately available, requiring only the decision to accept its embrace. As we approach this cottage, notice how your entire being may have settled into a profound state of receptivity, no longer seeking or striving, but simply receiving, no longer progressing toward relaxation, but embodying it completely. This receptive state is the perfect preparation for sleep's arrival, not an achievement, but an allowing, not a destination reached, but a surrender accepted. At the cottage door, our journey through Victorian London reaches its natural conclusion. Beyond this threshold lies not another street or square, but the realm of sleep itself, a territory as rich and varied as the city we've traversed, yet governed by different laws, illuminated by different light, experienced through different faculties of consciousness. Before we cross this final threshold, allow me to offer a few gentle affirmations, suggestions that your subconscious mind can receive and integrate even as your conscious awareness continues to dissolve. I release myself completely into sleep's perfect embrace. My body knows exactly How to restore itself through rest. I trust the natural wisdom that governs. Cycles of waking and sleeping. Each breath carries me deeper into restful slumber. Am completely safe to surrender to sleep's healing presence. My mind processes all experiences with perfect understanding while I rest. Will awaken when the time is right. Refreshed and renewed. The cottage door opens now, releasing a gentle flow of warmth and golden light that seems to reach toward us like a physical invitation. From within comes the subtle fragrance of wood smoke, beeswax candles, and perhaps a pot of tea brewing on a small stove, scents that signal domestic comfort. The completion of daily labors, the rightness of rest after necessary work. Our Victorian London, this fog-shrouded, gaslit city of cobblestones and quiet corners, has served its purpose perfectly as a transitional landscape, a bridge between wakefulness and sleep. Like all effective bridges, it now completes its function by disappearing from awareness, by becoming unnecessary as the crossing is accomplished. The narrative dissolves now into its essential elements: gentle sounds, comforting warmth, perfect support, the rhythmic cycle of breath, the natural wisdom of a body that knows exactly how to fall asleep. These elements remain as a protective presence throughout your night, ensuring that your sleep is deep, undisturbed, and completely restorative. Rest, now in perfect peace, held in the gentle embrace of night, guided by the soft illumination of distant gaslights and stars. Sleep well, sleep deeply, and when morning comes, awaken refreshed, your body and mind renewed by this journey through foggy Victorian streets to the quiet sanctuary, where perfect sleep awaits. Sleep now, rest completely. All is well.